other point. But I am up on a hill around Wellington Bay in New Zealand, and it is a spectacular day. So I wanted to share it. Now, I've walked up and down this gorgeous zigzag path, and I was sort of thinking of what are the five best things to do in the Wellington area. I still don't really know how to answer that, but I do know that when the sun comes out here, and it's summer down here, of course, it's February right now. When the sun comes out, and if you get the windiest capital city in the whole wide world, famously, but on a calm, sunny day, there are few places in this world as beautiful. Other fun thing, when I'm walking through the foliage like I am here, there's no snakes in New Zealand. There is a white-backed spider, which came in somehow from Australia, which will give you a bite. Not poisonous to humans, but some people react to it. You have to be a little mindful of that. But I'm just wearing sandals. And where I am, though, is I'm just out the other side of the bay from the city of Wellington. I'm out technically in the city of Lower Hutt, but I'm in Eastbourne. So if you drive right around the big bay, you leave Wellington, the airport's down the other side. And I'll show you in a minute when I get the good views here. You drive around to this side, and neighborhoods with really interesting architecture. It is safe and friendly and remarkably expensive in terms of real estate. A good thing to know about New Zealand should you ever choose to move down here. Wellington, of course, is located at the very bottom of the North Island. And today was so clear in the distance, I was even able to see a little outline of the South Island. Let me just turn around so you see the spectacular water out there. By the way, a must whenever you're this part of the world is sunscreen, hats. I don't know if there's still officially a hole in the ozone, but you will burn so quickly here. Even though it's not terribly, terribly hot, there is a ferry in the distance. That ferry has just come across from the South Island. It's a 3.5 hour journey between the two islands, of which, let's say, 20 minutes coming out of the harbor here if you're going south, and then about an hour and a half of proper open water. And that's where it can be extremely rough, like famously rough. I've only done the crossing once in my life, and it was an easy day. But yesterday, for example, it was very windy in the city. You can watch the replay of a live tour I did out there. But I'm going to go of this little village of Eastbourne. There's some nice historical facts and a beautiful coastal walk to do. You might hear the wind coming through my headphones as I make my way down here. Now, obviously, during the rainy season, they do get real rain down here. Way up in Auckland is a much more temperate climate. Wellington is famously, well, windy Wellington, as they call it. Start to see the city out there as the camera adjusts to it. But it is when you get a nice day here, it is so visually appealing. Now, New Zealanders are interesting. Their entire country is about 5.2 million people. Way back in 1914, it was about 1.1 million, 1939, 1.6 million, but it's still a small population. And it's a long way from the rest of the world. Even over to Australia is at least a 3 hour flight. Now, there's a good and bad to that. Travel takes a long time and it's expensive. There's the village down below. So it's expensive to get here. In fact, there's a cruise ship over in the city today as well. If I give you a little bit of a better view, when I get down a little further, you'll be able to see it. However, you also feel very safe being here away from, well, all the different problems the world can have. People here, just like anywhere else, can complain politically and complain about their economy, but it is a very developed, highly educated country. The other thing about that was a tui bird that just flew by. They're very noisy, lovely birds. In fact, I'm waking up every morning to bird sound, leaving the window open as I sleep. But New Zealanders are perhaps the best traveled people in the world, coming with a high level of education, but a long way from everything. They're way in the distance is the ferry coming in, way, way further on. The cruise ship. Cruise ships start up in Auckland and then come down to New Zealand, often end up over in Sydney, in Australia, this time of year. But the high level of education, the fact they live a long way from everything, New Zealanders often go away for a couple of years and then come back. As a consequence of that, even though it's quite a small economy here, they come back with all sorts of learning from around the world and interest in international products. And of course, there's a really interesting homegrown food environment and wine region. In fact, I'm going up to Martinborough this afternoon, which is the wine region. I just heard that tui singing the native bush, and I would love to know. I'm sure someone can tell me what that is. They almost look like wild peas. I don't think they are, but beautiful to see. And like I say, I'm watching my step because I'm going down a hill, but I in no way feel unsafe walking on here. So, what are some of the things I would do in Wellington? Well, I would definitely come around here to Eastbourne. I'm actually staying just about 5 kilometers from here. Um, but if you stay in the city, it's a very fun, hilly city. Lots of pubs, bring lots of money. New Zealand is not cheap, but you're not obliged to tip here and taxes included. So at the very least, the price is the price, which is nice compared to a lot of other places to travel. You use New Zealand dollars. But in Wellington, they have several museums. Of course, it is the national capital. And so I think it's Cape Papa, the big historical museum, is just excellent. I didn't go on this trip, but I did last time previously. The other thing I really like, as you'll see if you watch Complex, the Beehive, their executive wing of their national government, that whole area is very accessible. I mean, it's lovely being in a friendly, safe country when you can just walk right up to Parliament. I'm hoping through my headphones you can hear the noise from the trees. It's not electricity. That's just life here in this very healthy place. Hiking in the whole area is well worth it. Kayaking is another thing I would recommend. It's famously a very outdoorsy place. Here in the Eastbourne area, this is where I was, Eastbourne Mackenzie Road, but I was just hiking up these stairs. So there's very good paths around. And people are, well, it's a fit country and an active lifestyle, and people are out walking. I think there's a larger retired population down the fence of the bay as well. Now, this blue sign coming up here is very interesting because this is the tsunami safe zone. In 2016, they had a 7.2 that actually knocked down from buildings. So they do genuinely have real earthquakes here, very legitimate reality. And their architecture is commiserate with that. All that noted, much of Wellington is reclaimed land. The waterfront is beautiful to walk on, but it's those buildings that had the worst time during the last earthquake because, of course, the ground can liquefy. So, but from here, you go up to the wine country. I think a day around the city is probably enough, but a day around the city, then a day around the bay here. And then if you're heading south, if you've rented a vehicle, a lot of people rent camper vans when they come here. Beautiful pines, Norfolk pines out there. Then you can, of course, sail down to the South Island, and there's so much to explore. Christchurch is the main city, but I think the Wellington area is probably worth 3 or 4 days altogether, to be honest. Now I'm actually staying here um, with some family, so I'm staying a lot longer. And that's why it's fun to be able to do these videos. Look at that. Karoo, which is a native bird, an Eastbourne village. And I just wanted to wander up a little further, show you a sign because Eastbourne village is named for Eastbourne in England, which is in fact 18,000, more than 18,000 kilometers away. How much fun is that? Um, and there's a lot of public art, as one would expect in a country with a high level of education and well traveled, and of course, artsy. And much of the New Zealand economy is built around tourism as well. And so public art plays a role both for locals and for visitors. I'm a great fan of public art, of course, guiding tours all over the world. I find it often tells the story of a local place. Lovely fresh produce as well. New Zealand and abroad as well, but from New Zealand. So it's gentle traveling here, um, and and like I say, safe and it's certainly friendly. Of course, the world is friendly if you make an effort, which I think is an important thing for all of us to remember. There's a distributor truck getting out. But yeah, I've spent 2 hours just wandering around the village here today, and I'm still not done. Which says a lot for the areas to discover. Look at this though. Eastbourne, UK, 18,871 kilometers away. Anyway, it's just a nice little trip exploring this area. So feel free, please, to share these videos. I mean to make more and more of them. And please share them, subscribe, do all that sort of thing. I would love to be able to go around the world, what I do anyway, guiding tours, but I'd love to go around the world making these videos and giving live tours. If you do subscribe and put on those alerts, you'll see that I quite often do live tours as we go. So thank you very much. And I'll show you, just walk up to the Bay Area. You hear that wind? And it's the windiest city in the world, the windiest capital at the very least. But this is a day locals would say there's no wind at all. You'll hear a little bit coming through my headphones, but part of the fun of visiting here. By the way, there is a ferry from Days Bay, which is about a kilometer walk from here, and it goes right across in 25 minutes to Queens Harbor over in Wellington. It costs $16 for an adult, and it's about 25 minutes. It's a lovely crossing. I actually tried to do a video yesterday, but the wind was so strong that you're never going to hear anything. The shallow waters here do not jump. That is distinctly good advice, always. But boy, oh boy, I do kind of wish I was out on the water today. So a kayak is a nice idea. Of course, huge sailing culture in this country. Much of that's based up in Auckland. But famously, in 1995, they won the America's Cup. First ones ever take the cup from the Americans. Have a look at this. How is that? For a view, there is the city of Wellington in the distance. Just beautiful. And then out there, way in the distance, is the South Island itself. And then we'll finish off with this shadowy creature holding a gimbal. Okay. Thanks for connecting and subscribing.